So President Trump spoke to Sean Hannity a couple days ago, and he said something terrifying that I'm going to play for you here.
I don't believe you need 40,000 or 30,000 ventilators. You know, you go into major hospitals sometimes, they'll have 2 ventilators, and now all of a sudden they're saying, can we order 30,000 ventilators? So, look, it's a very bad situation. We haven't seen anything like it. But the end result is we got to get back to work, and I think we can start by opening up certain parts of the country, you know, Farm Belt, certain parts of the Midwest, other places. But I think that, as an example, you go to Texas. There are places in Texas, great governor, Greg Abbott. There are places in Texas where, you know, it's a tremendously big state that aren't impacted by this.
Now, thankfully, and I do mean that, thankfully, he backed out of this idea of restarting the country on Easter. Because if he did that, there would be tens of thousands of more deaths that occur, at least. So he extended this like current semi-lockdown situation that we're in. He extended it all the way till April 30th, and then they're going to revisit it then. Now, what made him change his mind? I believe it was Dr. Fauci and maybe a couple other people in the administration telling him, just so you know, we're talking about maybe over 1 million people could die. Not just get the virus. No. Over 1 million people could die. So there was a light bulb moment for Trump at some point because he was talking to Sean. This was before he was saying all these things. Oh, excuse me. The Sean Hannity clip that you saw here, this is him on Hannity, Trump on Hannity. That clip is from before Trump changed his mind. So somebody got to him since he did this clip and were like, listen, bro, you can't open it on Easter. That's madness. You can't do it. You just can't do it. So that's definitely good that he changed his mind on that. But look at what he's saying there. He says early on, I don't think you need like 30,000 or 40,000 ventilators. Why is he saying that? Because Governor Cuomo in New York, Trump had sent like 400 ventilators or something to New York. And Cuomo went on Twitter and was like, what am I supposed to do with 400 ventilators? Bro, I need 30,000 of these. Just so you understand, in Queens right now, in the city, they're putting dead bodies in refrigerated trucks because the morgues are overflowing and they have nowhere to put the bodies. This is the most serious thing we've ever seen in my lifetime. This is unlike anything I've ever seen. Probably rivaling the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Like, this is devastating. So you have hospitals all over New York City that are overflowing. We have a massive shortage in ventilators. You know, New Rochelle, my hometown, that was the epicenter of the outbreak in New York. And, you know, the hospitals near me need more ventilators too. The hospitals in my area need more ventilators too. So when he says we need 30,000, what do you think he's saying that for? You think he's joking around, Don? Is that what you think it is? You think Governor Cuomo's just messing around? I don't know, I need 30,000. No, that's the minimum. Right now, they're taking the biggest convention center in the city, the Jacob Javits Center, and they're turning it into a hospital. They're building a temporary hospital in Central Park. Do you understand how serious all this is? Now, this is not to say Cuomo shoulders none of the blame. No, because he actually massively cut Medicaid. And a lot of big developers shut down hospitals that were previously in the city to put in, luxury condos. So the government and the moneyed interest, the state government, the moneyed interest, Andrew Cuomo himself, they shoulder a lot of the blame too. But when you have a president who goes on TV and he's like, I don't think you need that. What are we making up the pandemic? You think a pandemic's not happening? Is that what you think? And then he in a press conference, Trump went out there and was saying how, it's kind of crazy because, you have in New York City, you have these nurses and they say we need, X amount more masks. And I'm like, bro, you already had so many masks. What happened? Where'd all the masks go? He's like hinting that there's some sort of conspiracy among nurses in New York City where they're like hoarding the masks or something. You got people in some of the richest districts in the country, in Manhattan, at a hospital. They don't have the protective equipment. The nurses are wearing garbage bags. And you think they're making up that they need more masks and they need more protective equipment? What is wrong with you? No, it's amazing how dense this guy is, man. Whatever his opinion is, he just doesn't change it. It's just like, okay, here's what I think. That's it. And then it literally takes, in the one instance he changed it, which is, okay, let's extend it till April 30th, the semi-lockdown. It literally took a doctor saying, you do know probably over 1 million people are going to die, correct? And he was like, oh, whoa. That's a big number. I didn't know that the numbers were going to get that large. So in the press conference the other day, they were bragging that they're going to keep the number down to 100,000 or 200,000 deaths. Bragging that you're going to keep the number. We're going to make sure that number's, it may be 100,000, 200,000. Quite an admission, isn't it? Just to give you evidence as to what the state of the ventilator situation really is. Here's what we need in terms of ventilators. The American government has a stockpile of 16,000 ventilators, the Center for Public Integrity reported Tuesday. The country's medical system has 160,000 ventilators in total. It isn't enough. Already, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the state needs 30,000 more ventilators for the projected cases in the next 2 weeks. And the number of cases across the U.S. that require ventilators could reach 960,000 overall. So we only have 160,000 ventilators, and we're going to need about 960,000 ventilators. This is a historic calamity and failure, maybe even surpassing Hurricane Katrina. This is ripping the mask off of the failure and the rot of U.S. empire. We spent $7 trillion in a war with Iraq, $2 trillion in a war in Afghanistan, and we couldn't even have enough ventilators for a pandemic which we knew at some point was going to come. This is imperial decline personified. This is like quintessential imperial decline. And this is not just Trump's fault. It is also the fault of the Obama administration, and I'll get into the story on that later because I have details on that. But this is inexcusable. They say, oh my God, we got to fight all these wars because we got to protect America. We got to protect Americans. You're about to have at least 100,000 Americans die because of a pandemic. How many Americans did Al-Qaeda kill? Now, I'm not downplaying that. I'm not belittling that. I'm saying math is math. And we're going to have at least 100,000 people dead because of a pandemic. And you couldn't even stockpile enough ventilators. You didn't have enough personal protective equipment. You didn't have the masks. You didn't have the gowns. Just so you know, in China, they're still wearing hazmat suits as they deal with the virus. Here, nobody's even wearing hazmat suits. They got the regular masks. The N95 masks are as strong as it gets. But we need the hazmat suits here. Why don't we have enough of those? Why don't we have any of those, seemingly? I mean, the people in China dealing with the virus look like they're dealing with Ebola. You know how people look when they deal with Ebola, right? Where they got all decked out, every inch of their body's covered. It's a hazmat suit. But here, they're not wearing that, which is why, by the way, a lot of doctors are getting sick. I have a friend. I actually tweeted some of the updates from him in the early, in the early unfolding of the pandemic situation. I showed you what he was telling me and how bad it was getting. He got the virus. And he never once was around a patient without wearing the protective gear. He had the mask. Everything was covered, but it's not a hazmat suit. So he got the virus. We are so woefully unprepared. And by the way, we're also just way behind in terms of the timeline. If you really wanted to get ahead of this thing, The second we saw, remember when Trump did the rally and said, oh, we have 15 people, it'll be down to 0 soon. That day where he was downplaying it, he would have needed to order the country on total Wuhan-style lockdown on that day. And in that situation, we could have been, had everything shut down for 2 months, and then we could have gotten back to normal life. But no, he denied it until it was way too late, and then you start ordering semi-lockdowns, and now this thing is going to drag on for God knows how long. But just so you know, our response, and this is not an exaggeration, our response has been the worst in the world. Our trajectory has been the worst in the world. Our cases are growing at a far higher rate than anybody else. Now, you could say, hey, some of those countries aren't testing properly and all that stuff. That's probably true. Let's say I grant you that. We would still be one of the worst in the world, for sure. For sure. So, and some of that you could say is just lack of preparation and not handling it properly. And some of it you could say is cultural stuff, for sure. But that's still no excuse. And here we are. Trump telling governors, I don't think you need that, bro. How can you say that? That's insane. That's insane. A lot of people are going to die, guys. And they didn't have to die. And God damn it, we better be prepared for the next one. But at this point, I don't know if America can ever learn a lesson. Because we didn't learn any lessons at all from the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. You would think, they learned. You would think after one of our disastrous illegal wars we would learn. Nope. So what makes us think it'll be any different for a pandemic? What makes us think whoever the next administration is, are they on day one going to order a brand new stockpile of ventilators and a brand new stockpile of masks and a stockpile of hazmat suits? And are they going to do that? Highly doubt it. It doesn't matter who it is. I highly doubt it. So we're doomed to repeat history. And yet again, we appear embarrassingly unprepared and stupid.